Welcome to this week's Chart Insights covering key indices and sectors. I'm Vishal Subandh, Head of Trading Education at Mirae Asset Sharekhan. Let us begin. And we more or less got to know this last week itself. Let us analyze the same data for the 15th of December to the 19th of December, and let us see how the FII data unfolded. As you can clearly see, the weekly candle did close positive again. It is steam for the market to move to the upside based on the FII data. Let's now get into the charts to see how this data looks like on the candlestick. All right, let's begin with the monthly chart of the Nifty. And we have a level of demand from 24,730 to 24,327. This is the closest level of demand on the monthly chart. If you move on to the weekly chart, we did see last week the price did come into this level of demand, held onto this level of demand. And this week we have had a significant gap up opening, indicating that markets are poised to move to the upside and eventually try and move towards making all-time highs. If you look at the daily chart, we spoke about this level last week, 25,861 to 25,688. Price did come into this level of demand and gave a very, very strong reaction to the upside. Now, we may face a little bit of resistance within this area because this is an area that could have a little bit of supply on the smaller time frames. But eventually, I do expect the price to eventually breach this level of supply and move towards 26,322 odd levels. Let's now move on to the Bank Nifty. And let's start off with the monthly chart on the Bank Nifty. So if you look at the monthly chart on the Bank Nifty, we have a level of demand here, which is this drop-based rally level, 54,715 to 53,566. If we move on to the weekly chart, we have another strong level of demand, which is located over here from 58,279 to 57,194. And if we move on to the daily chart, we see that prices are still consolidating in this key level of demand. And this level of demand is also acting as a very strong support for the Bank Nifty. Although the Nifty has significantly moved to the upside, we are still not seeing that movement yet in the Bank Nifty. But after this consolidation, we would possibly expect Bank Nifty also to move up strongly to the upside, eventually reaching the all-time highs and probably even breaking them. All right, let's move on to the next index. We are going to talk about the Midcap Select. So let's look at the Midcap Index. And on the monthly chart, basis on the Midcap, we do see a level of demand which is intact at 12,843 to 12,455. On the weekly chart, we saw the prices coming all the way down, barely just touching this area, 13,484 to 13,244, and giving a strong bounce, indicating that Midcap Nifty will also continue its move to the upside. Now we are within this level of supply, 13,888 to 14,047, and prices are now coming very strongly and piercing this level of supply. Eventually, in case if Nifty does break the level of supply, then most likely Midcap will also follow and break this level. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get a little bit of a corrective move to the downside. And if that corrective move does happen, then we also do have this gap level over here where Midcap Nifty will try to fill this gap and then eventually start moving to the upside. Let's look at the next index, which is Nifty Financial Services. Let's start off with the monthly chart. On the monthly chart, we see a nice level of demand at 26,002 to 25,471. We move on to the weekly chart. We do see a level of demand which is currently far away from current market price, but we could argue that this also could be a potential level of demand. Prices are more or less hovering around this level, closer to this level of demand, 27,237 to 26,861. And then if you look at the daily chart, we do see a level of demand from 27,278 to 27,017. And in case price gets into this level of demand, we would expect to see price moving up sharply from this area. Let's look at the USDINR. Let us try and see if we are able to get some cues. So let's start off first with the monthly chart. So after a staggering rally to the upside, there is some selling pressure coming on the USD INR. It went on to hit the 91 handle. nearly, and then started selling off. And now we are seeing this extremely bearish candle formation that is taking place on the monthly chart. If you look at the weekly chart, we do see a gap down, and this gap down has come straight into this level of demand. Now it is very interesting to see because Nifty is coming into a level of supply, and the USD INR has come into a very, very crucial area of demand. In case if the USD INR starts to move up from this area 89.50 to 89.04, then there is going to be a little bit of a pressure for the Nifty to probably consolidate and maybe slightly move to the downside. Let us see whether that happens in the coming week. If you move on to the daily chart, we are within the daily and weekly demand zone now. And most likely, in case if this demand zone holds, then we will also see USD INR again moving up at least towards the 90 handle first. Let's move on to the next index. We're going to be looking at India VIX. And after spending a lot of time into this level of demand from 10.29 to 9.57, we have seen a break of this level. So now we're going to remove this level of demand, and we're going to go on and see whether there's any level of demand to the left on the monthly chart. There is no level. If we move on to the weekly, there is no level. And if we move on to the daily, again, there is no level. So which means we are right now in an uncharted territory to the downside on the India VIX. And today, after opening lower, close to around 8.86, we did open at 9.52, went on to make a low of 8.86, and now we are again moving upwards, right? So now we have a gap level of supply zone to be filled here, which is 10.12 to 10.85. This is your new level of supply on the India VIX. And in case if price gets here, then we might see the VIX again falling down, indicating that if VIX falls down, then that's a good sign for the Nifty to move to the upside. For this week, we are going to be looking at two key sectors. The first key sector is going to be the Nifty IT. So let us see how the Nifty IT is currently doing. So let us start off with the monthly chart. Let me just refresh the graph here. All right, so now we have the Nifty IT chart in front of us. And if you look at the monthly chart, the current market price is 39293. And there is a supply zone on the monthly chart close to around 42,757. So in case if the momentum still holds onto the Nifty IT sector, we might see these levels coming sooner or later. If we move on to the weekly chart now, so very interesting. We have this supply zone located at, let me just plot this once again. So we have this nice, strong looking area of supply, which is this base drop area from 40,365 to 41,643. Now we do have a supply zone below that also, and we are seeing a strong level of demand also coming into play, which is this area here, this rally-based rally. So any kind of move from this area might bring the price down towards this level of demand. We might see a little bit of consolidation over here, and then eventually we might see a move to the upside. So this is the view on the Nifty IT sector. Currently extremely positive, and looks like we are going to be inching towards this 40,365 handle very, very soon. Let's move on to the next sector, which is the Nifty PSU Bank. And if we start off with the monthly chart, so the Nifty PSU Bank has considerably outperformed the market. We see a nice level of demand located around 7141 to 6717 on the monthly chart. If we move on to the weekly chart, we see another fresh level of demand located at 7832 to 7492. And if we move on to the daily chart, we again saw a nice level of demand being played out at 8114 to 7975, indicating that the market will at least move towards this level of supply in the short term. So we might see the PSU banks also inching up slowly and steadily towards the 84 handle. right up to 86.54. All right, so this is it from me for this week. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. And if you do like our analysis, hit the like button and the subscription button and become a part of our Mirae Asset Sharekhan YouTube channel. Have a lovely trading week, everyone. See you all next week. Bye bye.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.